Welcome back to Extra Holiday Games. I'm Extra Holiday, and we're still springing. We're still companions, and we're still springing. Look at this. Look at this. Spring is my companion, and it shall remain my companion. Probably until I die, because that's probably what happens here. But not to you know, kill the hype or anything, but I've kind of died a lot of times, so I don't expect this time to be much different. Why? Why didn't it throw far enough? I think there's a difference between the distance on an actual running throw versus a kind of running throw or a standing throw. Wow, that was a easy jump to fail. Ah, man, it's kind of impressive that I died there, actually. I'm kind of impressed. But alas, as impressive as that was, there's still more work to do. Did not beat the level for us, so we shall continue. But that's not right. Yep. Cool. I'll take it. Mostly because I don't really have a choice, but I'll take it. Man, I'm excited. I talked about it last episode, but stream. This upcoming stream. Ramp block. I'm excited. I won't drag on about it too much longer because I don't think I have that much to say aside from I've played a lot of the original 4th Gen Pokemon games, and I think one of the big things that doesn't age particularly well about Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart, Gold, and Soul Silver is that they're just real slow. Like, I went back and started playing Heart Gold again, or no, Soul Silver again, for no particular reason. Definitely not because I was trying to get a good team together for Battle Revolution or anything. But I started playing Soul Silver again recently, and dear God, some of those battles, it's like, yeah, I gotta wait a whole 30 seconds for this Pokemon to lose their health. This is ridiculous. And like, turning off battle animations doesn't help that much because a lot of the time you spend waiting in a battle is just waiting for people's health to go down. Because for some reason they decided to make the time it takes scale with the actual amount of health the Pokemon has. That or they just couldn't get it to run any better than that, I'm kind of thinking. Because there's a chance that the game is just running so much stuff that a DS couldn't really handle making it go any faster. I don't know that that's the case, unless they found some sort of weird workaround for 5th Gen, because 5th Gen isn't nearly that slow, and it's running on the same hardware. So, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that it wasn't an intentional design choice. Because again, this is Game Freak we're talking about. They had, what, at least 10 years of experience at that point making Pokemon games? So, yeah. It's hard to... I'm trying to think, like... I was gonna say, it's not like all of the Pokemon games prior to that had been masterpieces. Like, the 1st Gen games are buggy as all heck and aren't actually implemented the way they were intended a lot of the times. I've brought it up before, but the fact that the only weakness that Psychic has is Bug, even though Ghost was supposed to be super effective against it. That's part of the Gen 1 jank, as you might call it. Gen 2 didn't really have any of that jank. I've recently been playing Gen 2 again, so I can say pretty positively that, yeah, there were still, like, hardware limitations. Like, oh man, the fact that you can only have so much stuff in each pocket of your bag, kind of annoying. But, like, that's a hardware thing. That's not a poor programming or poor design thing. Third gen was like, it's hard to find something wrong with third gen. You could argue like it's too much water, you know, that's the meme, right? But like ultimately it's not that bad. All right, here we go. Oh, there we go. Then that one's not in place. I have to wait for that one. I guess I have some time. Yeah, up until Gen 4, there weren't any, like, well, aside from Gen 1. In Gen 2 and 3, there weren't any, like, glaring errors that, you know, were obvious. You know, obviously killed the pace of the game or, you know, made it feel a bit off or hard to go back to nowadays. Gen 2 and Gen 3, I think, hold up pretty darn well. And I still maintain that Gen 5 is my favorite. Because, like, part of it's nostalgia, right? Gen 5 was the generation that I actually got to play with all of my friends. And so, of course, I have quite a few fond memories of it. But also, I think, like, just as far as the gameplay goes, that's, like, peak right there. That's like peak gameplay, right? It's like, it's after the physical special split, so there are significantly fewer Pokemon that are just straight up useless. Because if you didn't know, some Pokemon, like say Flareon, were not very good prior to the physical special split, which happened in 4th gen. Because, specifically in Flareon's example, Flareon's highest stat is attack. But prior to the split, Fire, which is the type that, you know, Flareon would do the most damage with, you know, same type attack bonus and all that. Fire was a special type, meaning that all fire type moves were special moves, which means they scaled off of the special attack stat, which Flareon did not have. Therefore, Flareon's stab moves were using its weaker attack stat, which meant that Flareon just wasn't a very good attacker, and it wasn't very good at anything else either, so it just kind of sucked. Whereas after the split, you have moves like Fire Fang and Flare Blitz, which are physical fire moves, because they changed it so that moves can be either physical or special regardless of their type. So Flareon actually had, you know, good physical attack moves to use that it could also get stab on, so that made Flareon a lot better. So yeah, Gen 5 has that because that happened in Gen 4. And I think the story in Gen 1 is one of the best. I don't know if I would call it the best anymore. I think I really, aside from the beginning of the game, I really like Gen 7's story. And Gen 8's not bad either, as far as story goes, except for Rose. But aside from him, Gen 8 didn't have a bad story. So yeah, I would say it's probably between, as for best story in a Pokemon game, I would argue it's probably between Gen 5 and Gen 5 Part 1 and Gen 7. Honestly, I'd probably give it to Gen 7, just because I just really like the idea that, and this isn't necessarily confirmed in the game at any point, but the idea that you're not really the main character, because let's face it, the little blank slate self-insert character you get to play as in Pokemon games, it doesn't have any personality. Like, you can't build a story around that, really, because the character doesn't have any personality. So, the fact that they focused on other characters, which they also did in Gen 8, is great. It actually works, and actually Gen 5 did it as well. It's great. It's great that you're kind of just, you're a driving force, but you're not the primary. You're not the main character. You're just the guy who gets stuff done, basically. And I like that. I think that delivers on the kind of power fantasy that you're looking for in Pokemon without compromising in telling an actually interesting story. Because we can talk about Gens 1 through 4, where it was like, what was the story of the first gen? Like, you're a 10-year-old, goes on a journey, gets badges, beats Team Rocket, who are doing bad things that they don't really ever go into specifically. Well, I mean, the acts are specific, but like they don't actually go into Team Rocket's overall motives. At least not in the games. Yeah, that's Gen 1's story. Gen 2 is pretty much the same. Like, almost exactly the same. But you can fight yourself at the end, which is pretty cool. You know, your Gen 1 self. That's pretty neat. Gen 3 has a little bit more of a story. It's, again, not exactly a personal story for you or anyone involved, but, you know, you've got two teams and they're fighting over like whether the world should have more land or water, and that's a neat that's a neat concept, but like, again, there's no real characters to get attached to there. Gen 4 story, which we'll be seeing again very shortly, or I guess as this video comes out, it'll be, you might have already played through the remakes or watched someone play through the remakes, so this should be fresh on your mind. But Gen 4's story, at least as far as the original versions, again, I haven't played Shining Pearl yet as of this recording, so you know. But Gen 4's story is basically Team Galactic being like, it's got the same gym story that all the games have up until this point, but it's Team Galactic being like, oh yeah, let's just destroy the world because I guess we can, right? I think that was Cyrus's thing. Is like, he's like, oh yes, the universe is imperfect. I'm going to make it perfect by destroying it and making another one. And that's right. That's at least something, you know. That's kind of in tune with Gen 3's story, but again, it's not really. Nobody really has any personal stakes other than Cyrus or the bad guy bosses. And, you know, people who don't want the world to exist. Or don't want the world to not exist, I should say. Which applies to basically everyone. So it doesn't really mean that much. Then, of course, we have Gen 5's story, where it's about N and Team Plasma, and, you know, whether Pokemon should be forced to battle or not, or if they are being forced to battle, and, you know, essentially, you know, what are the rights of a Pokemon. And as far as the stories up until that point go, and as far as that style of story goes, I think Gen 5 does it best, because it just has the most interesting concept that they never ever address again. But yeah, And then you have Gen 6, which is the, it's basically Gen 4 over again. Except for Lysander's like, yes, the world is going to be overpopulated. So he's basically pulling up Thanos. It's like, the world's going to be overpopulated, people are going to struggle for resources, so I'm just going to kill, like, half the people in the world. Or everyone. I think Lysander was still looking to kill everyone. But he's like, yep, no, everyone dies because nobody's going to have enough resources if we don't kill some people off. It's like, okay, I guess. But then again, he only shows up like twice, and it's like he's never... And his team does not seem to share the same passion as him, because they're supposed to be all about fashion or whatever. Gen 7's all about Lily. It's a cool character, and her basically like growing up and learning to live on her own, basically, you know, standing up to her mom. That's cool. You know, Lily is a character we can actually get invested in. The first one, probably. And then 8th gen, you've got characters like Hop and Marnie and Bede, and who all have their own stories and are all relatively interesting characters compared to the previous ones. And they all have their own little story arcs, and it's really cool. And then you have Chairman Rose, who just does the thing because I guess he's impatient. Even though he could have literally just waited one more day and everything would have been fine. That's it. One day I'll get into what exactly bugs me about Gen 8's story, but at the very soonest, it's going to be next time. Because, as for this episode, that's a wrap. Might have gone a little too long on this one.